Now is Bob Herbert. He's a distinguished senior fellow at Demos, a progressive policy think tank and advocacy group. Bob, it is great to see you. Thanks for being here.
You too, Rachel.
So as far as our platform is concerned, I mean, this is the platform of the Republican Party. It's not the platform of Mitt Romney.
It's not Mitt Romney's platform. You know, Mitt Romney picked Paul Ryan to be his vice presidential candidate, and now he's got to spend the rest of the campaign running away from Ryan's policies. It's a problem.
On this issue specifically, the Republican Party has not had a rape or incest exemption from its doctrinaire anti-abortion position in its party platform since 1976.
Right.
That's as far back as I've gone on the subject. This year, of course, it has more resonance because Paul Ryan is on the platform, because of the Todd Akin comments, and because the Romney and Ryan campaign are already trying to say that what they will do in office has nothing to do with Paul Ryan's record.
Zero.
What, is there precedent for that, or the running away from the record, running away from the platform? Is this a new? Is this a double flip?
Yeah, they're just going to throw everything overboard.
Yeah.
You know, it's really weird. Ordinarily, what happens is, you know, the Republican Party has these extreme things in the platform, and what the candidates usually do is they go wink, wink, you know, and everybody's supposed to understand that this is not going to happen in the real world if they win the election. They can't do that this time because Paul Ryan is right there on the ticket, and Todd Akin has stirred up this controversy. And people are now worried that, you know, this may have some reality if Mitt Romney becomes president. And I think there's reason to worry about it. Whether or not they even changed made an effort to change the abortion laws in the way that Paul Ryan would like them to do, it still gives us a pretty good indication of the approach that a Romney administration would have to women's health issues. And there's nothing that I can see that's good about that approach.
It makes me think about judicial nominations, because what's going on right now at the Republican Party platform writing thing, which I spent a long time watching on C-SPAN today, is that you see all these people who are delegates to the RNC who are recognizable Republican activists, both public officials and also, you know, people from the Family Research Council and the Eagle Forum and all of these places, and they're shaping party policy. And that kind of negotiation between the activists and the known elected officials is the sort of thing that happens behind the scenes when a president floats potential Supreme Court nominees.
No question about that. And the other thing that happens is when a president is developing policies and is trying to get his party on board, you know, in a legislative fight, we have seen what the right-wingers will do in terms of bringing pressure. And they will bring that kind of pressure on a President Romney to get these extreme policies, whether it has to do with abortion, whether it has to do with other women's issues, or even other issues, to policies that are much closer to a Vice President Ryan's desires than they are maybe to a President Romney's desires.
Bob, one of the things that you're really good at on all sorts of issues is finding the distance between sort of the soundbite and the substance. And on this issue of Todd Akin specifically, the 5 p.m. deadline came and went today, and he didn't pull out of the race. But we've got this huge cascade of Republican officials and powerful people in Republican politics calling for him to get out. I don't know if he'll be able to resist it ultimately, but they're obviously trying to push him out. And it seems kind of genius to me, because obviously he's a weak, even before this, he was a weak candidate in
not their guy.
So they'd prefer to have a hand-picked candidate designed for electability rather than who the primary voters chose to go against Claire McCaskill. They'd love to get him out of there. But also, it lets them sort of have a scapegoat, right? Or throw the bad apple out of the barrel. Oh, you know what? We're dealing with our extremism on abortion problem because we're getting rid of the one extremist we've got.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Has he said this thing?
I do think that they're handling it from their perspective in a brilliant way. I agree with you. The problem is that the extremist is right there on the national ticket. There is no distance between Todd Akin's position on abortion and Paul Ryan's position on abortion. And again, it's not just abortion. Ryan and Akin and so many others in that party are extreme on an entire range of issues. And that's what you're going to get if this party takes any kind of additional control in November.
The Obama administration, the Obama campaign specifically, has been more willing than I would have expected to campaign on reproductive rights issues. Not in a particularly culture war sort of way, but in a we will defend the status quo and defend women's rights from the Republicans who have been so aggressive on them kind of way. I wonder if you have advice for the Democrats in trying to make the the Aiken issue a problem for that they do not end once they finally get rid of Todd Aiken, that they don't end with all these condemnations of Todd Aiken, but one that makes them own the policy that Aiken and all these other people stand for.
You know, the first thing that I would tell them is to, just like they were trying to define Mitt Romney and did a pretty good job talking about taxes and that sort of thing, identify Paul Ryan with Todd Aiken's positions, and you know, show that there's no light between the two of them. They're as close as two coats of paint on legislative issues. Show that it's on abortion, that it's on women's issues, but also show that it has to do with things like safety net programs. They would shred the safety net and harm the poor. Show that they would do policies that would be harmful to the middle class. Just keep pounding that home. Make that connection between Todd Aiken and Paul Ryan.
And you don't have to reach when all you have to do is list all the bills on which they are co-sponsors.
Oh, it's all on the record.
Right. Bob Herbert, Distinguished Senior Fellow at Demos. Bob, it's always really good to have you here. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right. In corporate speak,